The master schemer is back at it again, Rolex, just in case you didn't know or didn't read the title. But without a doubt, a new Submariner is coming, or Submariners, plural. Let's get out of the way first. Regardless of what's coming out September 1st, odds are most of us aren't going to get it. Well, more like we can't get it. If you didn't know that already, where have you been the past 2 years? Anyways, Rolex has been hinting at a new release for the past week now. We know it's a Submariner. We think it's a Submariner because of the post on Instagram. It's showing a large body of water at the surface of it, so it's most likely not a sea dweller since it got updated not too long ago, or a yachtmaster because some type of yachting will be hinted. And I don't think the post would have been as dark/gloomy if they were trying to hint at a yachtmaster, unless yachting is suddenly a night sport, which is unlikely. Now on the post, it also shows a triangle marker that's found on the GMT Master, Submariner, Sea Dweller, Explorer, and Air King. GMT Master, Explorer, and Air King is ruled out for obvious reasons, and the Sea Dweller is unlikely again since it was updated not too long ago. So the only reasonable model is the Submariner. It hasn't been updated since 2012 with its larger case, chroma light, and new movements with the 3130 and the 3135, which by today's standard is an outdated movement. That's in comparison to the new 3235, which is basically the improved version with a 70-hour power reserve. The transition into the 32 series movements is most likely going to introduce the 3230, which is the non-date version of the updated movement. And so the 3230 and the 3235 are going to be the so-called standard movements for the new Submariner range. And so yeah, I think there might be more than just one new Submariner release. Most of us are only thinking about one new model, but there's a strong chance that multiple of them are going to be released. The Rolex post did say new watches 2020, which is plural. Obviously, one of the predicted models is a blue steel sub, the one without a date, because of the second Rolex post with the description out of the blue, with a video showing a Submariner side profile and Lume dial with no date. There is no date bubble on the crystal, and maybe the side profile was shown because it doesn't reveal whether the lugs were slimmed down or not, which is likely. This doesn't mean a date version won't be released. I think they just used the non-date movement or dial in the video because it would make sense when they're trying to release a new caliber along with the new lineup of Submariners. There are people saying that they won't release the blue steel sub because it'll piss off the clients who bought a SMURF. The same thing was said about the Pepsi, and then bam, they released the steel Pepsi. Rolex doesn't give a shit about it because the number of clients that they'll make happy with the new blue steel sub far outweighs the number of clients that they'll piss off who had the SMURF. But for their own sake, they'll probably release the black dial version along with the blue ceramic insert, along with that little crown in between Swiss made at the 6 o'clock position, similar to how they did that to separate the Batman from what we call now the Batgirl. Now, in addition to the colored Submariner, the other releases that I think are going to come out are the standard black date and non-date or no-date version of the Submariner. The official name of the no-date Submariner is just the Submariner, but if I refer to it as just the Submariner, most people are just going to be confused. And perhaps the release of a new KERMIT model and discontinuation of the current Hulk has been rumored for so long, but supposedly Rolex Passion Report got a leak from Rolex. Not from Rolex, but somewhere. It shows an image of a Submariner with a black dial, green bezel, slightly slimmed down lugs, and even more surprisingly, 41mm case. This doesn't seem out of place since the Yachtmaster was revamped to 42mm. Slimming down the lugs of a 41mm Submariner makes sense, otherwise it would actually look like a block on wrist. Now what I'm skeptical about is Rolex releasing both the blue and green version of a new Submariner at the same time. Releasing the blue or the green in addition to the standard black ones doesn't seem that odd, but to have two of the most popular Rolex color variants released at the same time just seems like a bad business move. Now, I'm not saying I know how to run Rolex or a business of that scale, but from an outsider perspective, releasing two popular models at the same time would just result in the two models drawing attention away from each other. So I think Rolex is either going to release the steel blue model or the steel green model one by one in order to get the most out of each release. And it makes sense since we saw this with the Pepsi release, followed by the new Batman release, and potentially in the future a Coke release. So the post by Rolex Passion Report showing a ceramic KERMIT model clashes with the out of the blue post from Rolex. The KERMIT also has a Cyclops, whereas the Rolex posts don't show one, so we still don't know what's going to be released for sure. All I'm thinking is Rolex is unlikely to release both color variants at the same time. Whichever comes out will most likely be paired up with the black ones, all with the 41mm case, the slimmed down lugs, new movements, and that little crown at the 6 o'clock position. Alright, so that's my thoughts on the new release Rolex is about to put out. Some of you guys asked what I think is going to come out. This is it. And to answer some of the other questions, I can't get either one, but regardless, I won't be picking any of them up. They're not on my radar because I like the one I have currently so much. I got this watch a little over 4 years ago before this whole steel sports watch craze, and I still have some stickers left on it. I haven't taken off the stickers because there's no real need to at this point, and it also marks a time where you can actually walk out of a boutique with a watch with the sticker still on. I'll do a video on my 4-year ownership with the Rolex Submariner. Alright, so that's about it. I just wanted to do a little chat with you guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram at Lume_shot, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.